all come back to the place that we know, and we all come back and stand just to hear your words come tumbling out, and it's then we understand.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the next episode of the Digital Diaries. Delighted to be joined today by Jan, who's at PSA at Smithton Primary. And Jan is going to speak to us about her fairly meteoric, I would say, rise from somebody who asked a couple of questions at a session to somebody who was producing some really fantastic stuff, which has now appeared on our This Is Highlands site. So really looking forward to getting the chance to speak to Jan and just find out some more about how lockdown has, I suppose, changed her views on digital learning. So good afternoon, Jan.
Hello, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you very much.
You got my favourite puppet in the background again.
Oh no, he's always joins me when I come on the computer. He's my best friend. He speaks more sense to me than the husband.
I'll cut that bit out in the video.
Yeah, we better do.
So do you want to, I've given a bit of an introduction, but do you want to maybe just give a background to where you work, what you do, what the kind of stuff that you've been doing? I suppose I'm thinking probably more pre-lockdown. What would a typical kind of working for you be?
Right. Well, I'm a pupil support assistant at Smithton Primary, and but my real interest is in outdoor learning and free play and the value of playing with loose parts. So that's what I'm really kind of quite passionate about. I am qualified as a forest school practitioner and also early level for early years as well. So I've blended those kind of experiences into being a pupil support assistant. And I'm not really interested in digital at all. I would say I'm always quite motivated to try and get the children off the computer and outside and playing and learning in that way, really.
Yeah, and that's a really good introduction, because I think that was almost the statement that you sort of made to me and you said. And I think what was most, I suppose, positive for me was that you could see a way to blend the two together to actually serve both purposes. So I don't know, do you want to maybe just talk about how that kind of came about? Because at the start of the lockdown, as you know, we decided to put on a whole host of training. And I've got to be honest, that there wasn't really a target group of people that we were looking to target. If we were, it probably would have been class teachers. But what's been astonishing is just the uptake from pupil support assistants, EYPs, office staff. So I suppose the question would be, when you saw some of this training being advertised, what was your thought, or what was your impression about what you would do?
Well, for the first couple of weeks, I was just completely bamboozled by the whole lockdown thing anyways. And I didn't even go on any of the sites. I could hardly get onto the classroom stream.
Yep.
So and I just hated all that, especially because I don't like being inside. Like all the ping, ping, ping of the messages coming through. I hated all that. So I just turned that all off, and then I just went to the stream. I just decided that I'd go on 2 times a day, because otherwise it was doing my head in. And but what on the stream eventually, David West, one of the management team, he put that there was some training on the digital hub, and I thought I need to just kind of grasp the nettle and have a look and see what's on the digital hub. So I looked on, but I'd missed kind of a lot of the basic stuff, because I was like 2 weeks. It took me 2 weeks to get the courage to actually get in. But then I saw there was like some sites training. It said sites. And I actually didn't even know what that meant. I'll be honest with you. I thought that when I went on sites training, I thought, like all you was going to show me around the sites. I thought that they were all sites, like, and I thought that you was going to take me on a sightseeing tour of the sites, Robert. I didn't realise. And then I got into the thing about 5 minutes, and then you said we were building a website, and I was, well, should I really just turn off now? My imagination was just taken, actually, as soon as you started, and I thought, actually, I can really do this. It just seemed quite straightforward, and as you were building it up, and so I just stayed on for the whole of the session, and then suddenly my head was just like full of ideas about how we could use the sites for actually for some of the stuff that I was wanting to do. So I was really excited by it.
Yeah, because I think what it does is it brings the two together, and I think sometimes on their own, digital skills themselves, digital tools by themselves with no context actually run their course. People say, oh, it's great that you can do that, but why would I do it? And similarly, I think, being in the outdoors, and I love going out, I love the outdoors as well. And my wife is forest school and also woodland trust trained and beach, the ocean one. So she's, massively into the idea of using the outdoor spaces, but it's more about, how do you actually capture what you've done? Because yes, the kids can be out doing stuff, but actually they want to be able to look back and say, what did I do? And even to reflect on it, how did I do that? Did I do it correctly? And I think for me, that's where what you did really sort of merged the two together. And it gave, or even on a very simple level, it allowed you to keep a kind of diary of what was happening. So from there, you went and very quickly created a Google site for your outdoor group, didn't you?
That's right. Yeah, we had an outdoor explorers group, and literally, virtually, as on the last day of time, or before we realised we was going to actually not be there, I'd given them out letters to actually come to the after school group, and which is like Outdoor Explorers, and it's all about being outdoors and play and stuff like that. And so I was like thinking, I've actually said that we're going to do Outdoor Explorers, and now we're on lockdown. How can we do it? So, and then, but as soon as you gave me the site, I thought that's the way we can do it. That's the way we can actually provide Outdoor Explorers some kind of after-school club experience. So I just started playing about with the site, and we decided just to take nature really as the main theme, and we would look at a different nature item every week, and we would see what came in. And the whole idea of it was it had to be really fun, because there was like so much kind of like other stuff going on. So we wanted to make it fun. We wanted to make it accessible to all the children. So everything was like low cost. So we just used things like junk modeling and things like all different activities that you could do kind of outdoors and indoors. And then we were just wanted to encourage people to do films and send in photographs and things like that. And so I started asking staff if they would help me. And that was like the lovely thing, I think. I'd felt really quite isolated till then. And what was amazing was that started connecting me up with staff in a really positive way, because I was like just able to ask if we had like squirrels. I said, just send me something on squirrels, and they were like so imaginative as the things that they would come up with. So we'd have like a kind of a recipe to do with squirrels some way, or it just depended what anybody was interested in. They sent it in, and then we made it kind of fit the theme. And it was just really lovely.
So yes, I think that was what I think you said to me, that it was the collaborative nature of the sites, the fact that you could, because traditionally, if someone had said to me before I'd learned about Google Sites, I was quite used to working on things like WordPress and other sites, and I would have said, yeah, it's quite a kind of lonely and quite an administrative task because you have to do it yourself. Whereas on sites, you could literally have a team of people doing it. And the statement I remember is someone said to me, you can't really break it because you can always go back to the previous version. You can always restore it back. So actually, you don't need to worry about doing something wrong, if you like, because you can always recover back to where it was. So interesting, you mentioned about the staff, sort of buying into what you were doing. What about the pupils? What kind of responses have you had from the pupils? What have they made of the fact that you've had this platform?
We've as week by week, as it's really grown, the interest in the pupils has grown. So we started off because some of the PSAs had their own have got children who are in the school. So we started using those because they were able to work alongside them. And then we were just like advertising. And of course, then as the children were seeing the site, they were like starting to put things through. So just today, actually, a little boy's. He went for a walk with his dad in the forest, and he found like a stone and a stick, and he's made it into a tomahawk. And he's like, and he said, oh, I want you to take a photograph and send this in for the Outdoor Explorers site. So that's lovely when they start to want to actually contribute like that. And the children, we just let the children do what they're interested in. So one of the children's really interested in gymnastics. So she's been doing gymnastics for the last few weeks.
So that, and I think that's probably, I mean, from the sounds of it, that's possibly why it has been successful, is because you've not tied it down. I suppose it's a bit like being outdoors. You don't want to be tied down to really strict rules. So it sounds like you've actually opened it up and said, however this will work for you, you can do that.
That's
right. So you created a Google form, didn't you, for uploading is that right? For getting the pictures?
No, actually, you showed me how to do the form, but I never done it.
Oh, so you're still doing emails?
No, I didn't. I did do. I went into Google Sites and I did. And so we've got like a shared drive with the staff that helped me. Okay. But then the other thing, I have been gathering it from all different places. But I do know I need to go onto Google Forms and do that, because that would make life so much easier.
Yeah, I was just thinking that if you've got a Google form set up, the pupils can upload their pictures and it goes straight to that shared drive, which means that's one less thing for you to have to worry about, especially as it's growing. You don't want to have to constantly be checking to see if someone someone doesn't have to get in touch with you and say, oh, I've put something up. You can actually see it in that site. So in terms of, I suppose the question that I'm asking everybody is, if we went back to the old normal tomorrow, how would you see, I suppose, some of these digital skills that you've picked up being continued? Because I assume that the Google site that you've created would still continue even when you go back.
Yes, we definitely we've loved being able to record what we've been able to do, and in all the different ways, and we can also see quite a lot of learning in that. So that people have like maybe gone on to Book Creator to make the slides and things. So we've done it in different. So we definitely want to keep it on, because we can see there's lots of learning in that, and people can just produce what they want to do. We've actually, from doing the site, we Scottish Enterprise people got in touch actually, and we sent them the site. So and they really liked it as well. So we're going to be put forward for an award.
Wow!
So that's really nice. But
that's amazing. So that's an award for under what kind of category is it?
They're just saying that it's enterprising that we were able to connect up with our community and connect up with the people and the children. So they really liked that. They're just looking for how people have done things during the COVID-19 and how they've included everybody. And the site's actually enabled us to do that. Yeah. So that's really nice. And as part of that, we're now getting some training. We set up as a team, and we're now going to look at doing some kind of enterprise within the school. So the site's kind of like really ignited something extra to. So it's definitely going to become a permanent thing that we're going to work on.
Well, that's brilliant. Oh, well, I didn't know that. That's genuinely the first time I've heard that. So absolutely delighted, and hope that it's successful, and keep us posted on that, because that's great news. I mean, it's obviously not necessarily about getting an award for everything that you do, but it's nice to be recognized, especially under that kind of heading. Yeah. I suppose my other question would be, thinking, and I can't ask you to speak for all the PSAs, but why do you think PSAs have embraced the opportunities for digital learning and digital training so much? Because over this weeks that have happened, they have absolutely, I mean, the numbers have been astonishing, 170, 180. Why do you think it is that they have embraced it so much?
I just think that you don't get those opportunities. You don't normally get those opportunities within the school day to do all that learning. And so that's just been amazing to be given all those training experiences. And I've actually loved being on a PSA page, because normally you don't get to really know about other PSAs. So it's really, really nice to actually feel like you're part of a larger team than the team that you are at the school. And has been a great. I mean, I love learning more things, but I don't normally get the time. So this has been really nice to blend in the stuff that you're doing in the classroom with the children, but also you're able to. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to take skills back with me into the school. So that's what I'm kind of looking at.
That's brilliant. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I said to someone today that the Highlands almost feels like it shrunk during lockdown. You're now engaging with people, whether it's on Google Classroom or whether it's on Google Meet, with people from different parts of the Highlands that you've never spoken to before, or probably know who you would ever spoken to because of the geographical distance. And this has really allowed people to engage. Yeah, the Google Classroom for PSAs is a fantastic place. It's so active. There are so many. I get the most satisfaction when I go on and see a question has been asked, but it's been answered by somebody else, because that's real power when somebody can answer that question for them. So I guess my final question would be, in terms of what's next for you, actually I've got two final questions. What would be next for you? What's your sort of digital goal between now and the summer? Is there one more thing that you're looking to do, whether it's with sites or whether it's something new?
I think I feel like I'd like to have the foundations more in place, because I feel like I started off kind of doing sites, but a lot of the foundations are not in place. So I'm going to go and look at because I think that doing the training, you're just doing some training.
The essential skills.
Yeah, I just think that's such a good thing for me to be able to do. So I'd like to go back and get the essential skills. I'd like to be able to go back confident in Google Classroom, because I was aware that in the school, when that the P6s and 7s were starting to have their Chromebooks, and I wasn't working in that part of the school, but I was thinking, if I had to, and as a PSA you can end up working anywhere at any time, really, you never know. I was thinking I wouldn't be confident when I was like seeing the whole class quietly tip-tapping away at their computers. I was thinking I wouldn't be confident to help them. So one of my main aims is to be able to go back feeling that I would be confident enough to be able to go in any classroom and not worry about the digital stuff at all.
Yeah, and well, the essential skills will definitely do that. Yeah, I suppose the way you have done it has been quite different. So there'll be the Google Sites comes in level 2. So if you do continue up through the levels, you're going to find most people will be sitting there thinking, what's this Google Sites? And you can proclaim to be an expert on that, and that can be your moment of glory. So my final question would be, if you had somebody speaking to you and saying, I still just don't get this digital thing, why would I do it? I've kind of asked this question in a strange way in the past, of saying, what would you tell your 10-week ago self, who was looking at this thing, nah, not for me, I'm turning it all off? What would be your message to your 10-week ago self?
I would just say, just get the courage and pluck up the courage to have a go, because it's really supportive. I found all the training really supportive. And it's just, sometimes it is just about kind of knocking on the door and being prepared to open the door. Once you've opened the door and you've got in, it's absolutely fine. You just find that you will be supported. And I think one of the most important things for me was, you can go into the trainer, but you don't have to say anything or contribute in any way. So you don't feel like you're going to have to be put on the spot. You can just be there as a participant and gradually build up your kind of confidence. And then you might want to start asking questions. And also, I just think it's about having a bit of a sense of humor and if you don't get, because we're just learning to laugh at ourselves now, because sometimes we can't even get into a meeting sometimes, some of us. I mean, just the most simple things that we can't do. And whereas before we were getting upset and a bit stressed about it, we've just learned to laugh about it and just be philosophical. And and I've used Messenger as well, so we actually we normally have Messenger on the go, so that's quite nice if you've got the support of your if you've got friends who are going to support you, and then you can message and say, well, look, I'm not in this meeting, can you get me in, that kind of thing. Really, I think it's been great actually for bringing us together, because but we're all kind of in the same boat, so we've all been learning together, and people have been so willing to give their time and to just put you on the right track, really. And that's like the people from your school, and also fellow PSAs, and also from the hub as well. So it has been a positive experience, more positive than I was expecting.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, the positivity just is absolutely pouring out of you, and it's fantastic to see. And I think I said to you when I planned these digital diaries, I did think that I wanted to speak to you because I felt your story kind of stood out for me, just as somebody who had, for the right reasons, had doubted about whether this was necessarily for you, but actually having given it a go and actually opening up and thinking, let's just see what it's like, I've actually relished it and built it into what you're doing, yet not compromising, your love of the outdoors, not compromising the fact that you don't think, as I do, that digital skills should be, or digital learning should happen all the time. It should happen in the right place, in the right context. So yeah, this has been a great, thank you, and some great advice there, especially at the end about, the fact that you have come all together. And as I said already, PSAs for me are that group of people who have really, really come to life during this lockdown, and absolutely delighted that in such massive numbers, it's great that you've been able to engage with each other. And I do think when we go back to normal, that those friendships and relationships will be much, much stronger. And even just the fact that, you can pick up the phone to somebody in another school who you've been speaking to over the lockdown and say, does that happen to you? Or what's your take on that as well? So, so from my point of view, a massive thank you. And thank you for giving up your time today to chat.
No, thank you. It's been fun.
No, thanks very much. So hopefully if you've enjoyed this, you'll tune into the next episode of the Digital Diaries. But for now, just say thank you to Jan, and thanks very much.
Thanks a lot. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.